before we, so some of you are still on a break, you can take the time. I'll just answer one of the questions that popped up in the chat. It's also going to be in the Q&A. Recording posted on Canvas. So Sullivan is asking about group composition. I also received a question about having teams of more than 5 people, because you see that on the lists of students, sometimes there are more than 40 people in a group. The reality is that there is not really more than 40 people in each group. First of all, we have students who are repeaters and actually are not going to be doing the assignments, so they're not formally really part of the tutorials. At the same time, we have students who are planning on leaving the program. So while they are now on the student list, in reality, they won't be working on group assignments either, which means that we actually have fewer than 40 people per group most of the time. Unfortunately, the people who are dropping out, we can't know until March, until it has already happened. So for those of you who are wondering, we have 3 students, we can't find more. For now, just put yourselves as the group of 3 students. So sign up via Canvas, put yourselves as an incomplete group, and then your respective lecturers, they will see, right, are there students, are there teams that can be merged, are there students without the group, and if not, we'll look for other solutions. So for now, just in the tutorial group that you belong to, put yourselves there as one team, and after February 14th, we still have we'll have about a week with the lecturers, and we'll coordinate and we'll inform you if your team composition has been changed, or if you've been moved to another tutorial group. That will be in coordination with you. So there's a question if you can team up with people from another tutorial. Well, in theory, yes, but then there have to be 3 spots left for you guys, or so it has to be a tutorial that has 3 spots, and you all have to then attend that tutorial. So it has to meet with your schedule as well. So be mindful of that. The other question that people have is where we want to have a group of 6 people instead of 5. Well, again, the reality is that most likely with the current setup, we need you to have smaller groups. I can't guarantee that it never will happen that the group has 41 participants, for instance, and there is then going to be a team of 6. But if after February 14th, we see that in a tutorial group, there is a team of 4, and then there's a team that indicate that they want to be a team of 6. We are going to move that one person from 6 to 4. There is no negotiation, just because we can't have one group with 50% more people than another. So that's it. So you can. Yes, thank you, Moritz. The list of students who is in which tutorial group, it's already posted. This information is available on Canvas. So for now, again, you have a team provisional composition posted on Canvas, even if it's not yet complete. It also allows students who are still looking to locate you and see that, okay, maybe I should contact these guys and let them complete their group composition. All right. Okay. Now it's time for us to start with the session-focused Q&A. Again, thanks for those of you with cameras on. We start with a poll on segmentation. So you looked at 4 different principles of segmentation that shouldn't be violated. We need to have segmentation criteria that are relevant, that create similar enough segments, that create segments that are, so within the segment there's enough similarity, and at the same time there is exclusivity, so that there's no overlap between the segments that you identified, and there's comprehensiveness. So here is a question for you. What does this mean for if a company makes a mistake with segmentation here? So let's take another minute for this one. I see that still have about 40% of you who is thinking about it. Right, 20 more seconds. All right, those of you who haven't made up your minds, either submit it now or I'm closing the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so let's share the results. So the most popular option with almost 40% response rate is exclusivity and relevance. This is indeed the most likely, these are the two principles, violation of which will result in excessive customization that is of little value to customers. Those of you who picked that option, can you explain why you chose that over the others?
Well, I chose it simply because for me, exclusivity is something really specific. And if you put too much effort into it and the customer isn't really interested, it doesn't really put value for him. Because I think exclusivity is really something specific for a specific target.
Who remembers what's the principle of exclusivity? So the idea there was not that so the definition of principle of exclusivity, to build on what Brian was saying. Can somebody pull it up from the slides, maybe, or from your memory?
When customers within the segment are different from customers within other segments.
Yeah, so
but it sort of correlates to what Brian just said. That I know it's not the same definition maybe, but I also had a similar way of thinking that it might be that if we try to concentrate on only customers from within one segment, we would therefore also make the product more exclusive in that way.
Yeah. So what Brian is telling us is more about actually how you create products for these segments, that it will be exclusive for each of the groups, right? But when we talk about segmentation, we have to take a step back. We're still talking more about the customers, how they are and how they're different from one another. And this principle of exclusivity, yes, if it's not violated, we'll have products that are specifically tailored to each one of these groups, right? So bearing that in mind, that when we talk about exclusivity, we mean that there's little overlap in the tastes, in the values, what people value within segment 1 versus segment 2 versus segment 3. Then can somebody explain why this option and why not something else? Why is it relevance and exclusivity that matter? That the segments are different and that you pick the criterion that's relevant for predicting their preferences. Just to wrap it up, there's a complete answer.
Maybe because something's not relevant, why would you bother paying interest into it? Why would you want to spend money or actually purchase a product that has no relevance to you?
Yeah, that's correct. So if it's not relevant, then customization just doesn't bring features that are going to be helpful. And if it's not exclusive, what happens? Why is it excessive? what the company would have been just as fine doing.
They wasted their time and money of finding all the different possible customizable options.
Yes. So when in fact they could have just been serving this segment that they divided into two, they could have been serving it with one offering, not spending additional money on that. So that's why it's relevance and exclusivity. Comprehensiveness is just that you missed out on a segment, and similarity would actually, if you are wrong and violated the principle of similarity, most likely you will have insufficient customization because people are just too different within your segment. So you shouldn't be serving them with one offering, you should be serving them with two or maybe more. All right. Now to the next poll, but well done. It's way above the random guess rate, so can consider it as a relative success. Okay, now to the second question. Second poll is about targeting, the application of it. Here's a scenario. What is it an example of? Strategic segmentation, strategic targeting, tactical segmentation, or tactical targeting. Let's give another 30 seconds. It's not a very difficult question. Five, four, three, two, one. All right. If you haven't spoken yet, we'll assume you're with the majority. Okay. Okay. Here's the most popular option is tactical targeting. Those of you who picked this option, can you please elaborate on your response? Why is it tactical targeting and not strategic targeting? I see that most of you agree it's not segmentation, it's an example of targeting, but why did those of you who picked tactical choose this and not strategic targeting?
I think the answer is that we focus on certain customer profile, not about the needs and differences that we can segregate the customers, but rather on profiles, so visible, tangible features that are matched with the segment that we already chose.
Yeah, and maybe somebody remembers kind of what's the core of strategic targeting? What's the main? So it's values, but what does the company do at the stage of strategic targeting? They focus on values, and what do they do?
They try to find channels to communicate to those viable target groups.
That's during which stage, tactical or strategic targeting?
That's tactical targeting.
Yeah, and what do they do during strategic targeting phase?
During strategic targeting, they select like their preferred like segments. They think they can bring the most to the company.
Exactly. So during strategic targeting, we're not yet talking about how to reach the people. We're thinking about their values, and we're just choosing the segment, the targeting, the targets that are the most attractive to us, like from the monetary or strategic perspective, right? And so we're first of all, A, focusing on the more on the value that we can bring, and B, we're not deciding how to reach them. How to reach them, we're figuring out during the tactical targeting phase. And that's exactly what's described here. So it's Facebook allows people to find channels to reach to send their message to their audience. I understand that, yeah, maybe there wasn't, maybe some of you didn't have time to watch all the videos in full. So this is the basic setup for the midterm, for the final evaluation. We always rely on on the definitions of the concepts throughout the course. If you haven't watched the materials, it might be difficult to understand intuitively and guess what's strategic, what's tactical. So here, just bear in mind that it's sometimes the common sense definitions, they don't allow you to differentiate enough between what's the difference between strategy and tactics here. All right, but really well done. Again, we're way above the random guessing rate, so kudos to you guys. Okay, now there were a couple of questions in the chat before we get to the group task. So is it true that targeting isn't possible without segmentation? Most of the time, yes. So it's difficult to think what's the most attractive group if you haven't divided the market. That said, it's not that it never happens. So sometimes you just think of one group and you know that, for example, with the comprehensiveness scenario, when this principle is violated, it's often that a group has been overlooked with a specific need. If you know that this is a really unique group that doesn't have a product offered to it, strictly speaking, you don't need to divide the rest of your market. So the example with Fenty Beauty and all of the products that cater to consumers, well, to women with a different skin tone, for example, right? So their need was quite specific and not yet satisfied with the market offerings. You don't really need to know as much about the division of the rest of the market. Nevertheless, it's really helpful in like predominant percentage of the cases. So it's probably possible, but most of the time, better not do it without segmentation. Is comprehensiveness maximizing segmentation choices? It is increasing the choices it increases the choices of targets because it just increases the number of segments you consider. Comprehensiveness is this idea that there was a particular group of needs or level of need that you completely ignored. So with comprehensiveness, we mean that a certain group of consumers with the unique requirements in the product category has just been not considered as part of the market.
So when you put like let's say the questions right about targeting and segmentation, I just chose it was strategic targeting because it kind of reminded me of customer needs. And I thought, well, Facebook and Google and in general internet, the ads that appear, it's due to the algorithm. So you search, they put those ads that like resemble your searches, right? So if you search, let's say, on a secondhand market, well, for eBay, you'll have like ads of eBay.
Facebook allows you to reach your consumers. With tactical targeting is reaching your consumers. The act of reaching your consumers, as per the definition for the course, it's tactical targeting. That's what Facebook does. It doesn't tell you so you kind of assume that you have a target market in mind when you ask you have a specific, like an audience that you want to reach with the Facebook with the algorithm.
What would be an example of like strategic targeting? Sorry.
That's at the product development stage when you're thinking, all right, what should be the features of my product so that they best cater to the needs of my customers. So when Rihanna develops the Fenty Beauty line, she at the strategic targeting phase, she's just deciding, okay, there is an audience with the need for a very different product characteristics that allow you to put decorative makeup on your face. So it's at the stage when you decide so there will be groups with different needs. Strategic targeting is the decision where you say, this is the need that I'm going to satisfy. This is the group of consumers with a distinct need that I'm going to try to reach. And then everything that's about how you reach them, it's tactical targeting. All right. So the option that's correct one in the previous question is tactical targeting. The answer that's correct is not marked, it's just the most popular answer that's marked in orange. Strategic benefits, that's actually part of a mini task for you guys to work on, but yeah, all right, this took a little bit longer. Strategic benefits, word of mouth. So a group that talks a lot about your brand on social media is a group that creates you has strategic benefits, gives you strategic benefits. Well, also in the book, for example, there's the strategic benefit of economies of scale. So sometimes just growing the volumes is not because it makes sense, not because these consumers bring a lot of revenue, but they allow you to distribute the fixed costs a little bit. Most of the benefits that come with kind of positive sentiment online that your consumers create, that would be in the bucket of strategic benefits. Yes, so Simon is commenting that yes, if it's not already segmented, it's difficult to target certain groups without having them defined. Yes, I think the point that your assigned reading makes is it's really valid that if you have absolutely no clue about the needs that roughly you want to satisfy, so about the rough target audience, it's difficult to segment the market. But yeah, these go hand in hand, and it's good to. It's also helpful because it allows you to see, all right, their potential, to divide the market, because then you'll know, okay, are there groups that we can move on to with what we have? We cater to one group, but maybe there are other segments that we can potentially move on to later. So it's a helpful exercise anyway. All right. Yeah. So for tactical segmentation, it's the task of dividing people, but in this scenario, so you read based on the scenario, right? The description of the question always with multiple choice. So they do divide, but they allow you to. So through Facebook, you reach. So you choose Facebook, and this is an example of tactical targeting because they allow you to reach to send your message to the group. All right. Done with strategic benefits. Tactical is the channels of distribution and channels of communication that you will use to get your product to your consumers. Yep. All right. So with this in mind, we have let's get to a quick group exercise. We have, so you'll be broken down into breakout rooms, and in the breakout rooms, you need to work on a short task. So. Okay. So here we are. Suppose there is a company that produces teddy bears, and what they decided to do is to divide the market and create 6 different products for them. So they have 6 different target audiences in mind, and for each of these target audiences, they have created a specific product, so based on their color. Now, in your groups, we've reduced the number of criteria on the slides that you'll see. So explain how the company may have violated the segmentation principles below, so the relevance, similarity, and exclusivity. So I think you don't have to work on exhaustiveness. Here's the, just one moment. In the chat, you have the link to the, in the chat, you have the link to the Google Docs file where you need to submit your answers. There you go. So you have a breakout room when you will be pre-assigned to breakout rooms. You'll be pre-assigned to breakout rooms, and